What's up, everybody? Welcome to Up at Noon. We loved E3 so much, we still haven't left, so we thought we'd do a special interview from here. So, as I live and breathe, Matt Webster, how are you, sir?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm excellent.
Superb.
I'm excited to have E3 behind us. Now there's a whole bunch of new stuff to talk about. Speaking of which, I want to kick off with, look at the balls on you.
Oh.
Yeah, these guys come out at E3, we got a new game, we don't have a title, it's just an IP, here's a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, isn't it exciting?
It was really...
A little nerve-wracking as well.
I bet it was nerve-wracking for you. Yeah, talk to me a little bit about this process. I mean, you're Criterion Games.
Mm-hmm.
You're the name amongst names when it comes to racing games and Burnout and everything else like that. So who approached whom about, hey, come show your uncompleted levels and no titled game? Like, how does that work?
I think that we've been talking about these sorts of things for a long time.
Yeah.
You know, it comes back to, if I look at Hollywood, you know what's on Warner Brothers' slate, 4 years out.
Yeah.
You know, the title, Bruckheimer was talking about Top Gun 2 the other week and saying it's Cruise versus the drones, and it's, why don't we do that? Why can't we do that? And I think sometimes we get a bit self-limiting. It's like, well, we don't ask, so you don't get.
Yeah.
But I think it's a reflection of how EA's changing. I think in terms of and the world is changing around us. How people are making games, going about different ways. People want to be talking about games earlier, and certainly people want to hear about games being made earlier. So it's just the right time. It just kind of happened.
That was the weird thing, right? Like the EA press conference ended, and we were all around this table talking about it. And a few guys were like, "That was a weird press conference," but I was like, "Yeah, but it was genuine."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they could have easily come out and done a bunch of bullshit and done a bunch of trailers that were just teaser CGI and then a date and that's it, and then we're sitting here talking about, oh man, Star Wars Battlefront, what's it going to be, blah, blah, blah. And so then had everybody come out and like, Casey Hudson comes out, he's like, yep, we're working on a new Mass Effect game, it's going to be in a new world, we have this other IP, it has trees in it, we're excited.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, exactly.
All right, that's cool. Like,
well, it is authentic, because it comes from people who love games and love making games, and I think there's been frustration in the past where we haven't talked about what we do, and people want to know what we do. And we can learn a lot from showing a game early, talking to people about it, whether that's publicly or privately. I think we have to get a lot more comfortable with people experiencing the game and giving us, their thoughts on what it's like. So I don't think we're making the game in public, but we want to engage a lot more. And I think it has echoes through to what we did with Burnout Paradise, where, the game that we launched in 2008 and then the game that it became, and the process that we went through in doing that, we learned an awful lot about talking to people and trying different things.
I mean, do you think this is the new way forward as video games continue to change, right? I was talking to some other developers here of like how they can't believe how different it is now than when it was before Twitter. Yeah. When a fan couldn't come and be like, I don't like this in your game. And like, how did you find me? Well, I went through the credits and then I took your name. Then you know what I mean? Like, everyone.
I don't know which one's more creepy. No, it is. You need to get, whatever people think about what you make, it's a reflection on what you make. Okay, so I think that there's all those points are valid. They're just reflecting back what you've created, and you've got to hear that sometimes. And too often, I think that we live inside a bit of a bubble, and I think the world's changing, and I think that's just a natural evolution of. It's what's happening outside large publishers and this sort of bubble that we're in at E3. Oh, well, yeah, it's a beautiful theatre as well. But, we sort of operate in this bubble, and the world's changing, and it's never been easier to make a game, and it's never been easier to talk about a game, and it's never been easier to be creative. And so let's tear down the walls a little bit. Yeah,
we're talking about before we went on air, right? I just came off the Entwined interview, and that I thought was something really cool, and I think it's something you'll see down the line, right? Like the industry has changed to the point of like people are so rabid and so excited for E3 that if you're a downloadable small title like Entwined, why wouldn't you say, and we're available now?
Yeah, totally.
When this conference
when everyone's listening,
turn on your system, and they even said like open your PlayStation app and buy it right now. It's like, that's a brilliant idea, because AAA games, right? They're not gonna do that, especially like stuff like what you guys are doing, where you're being honest and we're working on this game and we don't know the timeline yet.
Yeah, there's a mixture of the two. When I started, we were making games with one or two guys in a bedroom in Widnes or somewhere, and now that's actually still happening. But they're talking about their game and they're making their game, and there's such a broad range of experiences being made, and we need to talk about those broad range of experiences, and there's nothing that's to stop sort of larger companies or larger studios, taking a look at that playbook and and seeing how it works. I don't know what the next year is going to work out. We're kind of
it.
making it up as we go along.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, let's talk about that. Yeah, you show your dev diary, your trailer, your vignette. I don't even know what to call it.
Yeah,
Your vlog. You made a vlog.
It's an insight into what we do, and it is authentic because those are the people that are making the game, and this is the way that we want to talk about it. And I think if you looked across the board at the output of those small pieces, the personality of the studios really shone through, I thought. Yeah. No. And that's as much a great indication of, where we're all at.
So how do you describe the new IP you're working on? We all talked, and it was like, it's like this extreme sports, and you're talking about the first person, and there's flying suits, and there's ATVs, and there's a helicopter at one point that you and it was like, this game looks awesome. Yeah. But what the hell is it?
Well, we'll go into more detail on what it actually is probably at a later date. But I think our start point is if you know anything about us, you know anything about Criterion, and you then apply a multi-vehicle sort of filter to that, you get a good handle on what that through line is going to be. So really, we're going to take, whereas we understand our path and we can translate that into what our future is going to be. But it has to start off with, we've talked around multiple vehicles for a long time, and it has to start off with the control of those vehicles at the very start point. So what we're doing right now is imagining and bringing together and prototyping how bringing multiple disparate vehicles together, what is the play that might come from that? So clearly how we can, vehicle-to-vehicle interaction is what we do, and crashes are mandatory. But now we've got a person in the game for the first time. So you've got a character. So there's some on-foot components to it as well, and it's
terrifying. You guys have done cars for so long.
It's just new. Yeah. Well, we had a dude on the bikes in Burnout Paradise, but. That's the bit that's really exciting for us because we get to play with, well, how does a character and the vehicles interact? And what are all the fun things that we can imagine around that? Yeah. And that's why I think that we came to the first person view and thought, let's follow that road and see where it takes us. Because clearly we know, third person really well. Yeah. Although saying that, every game I think I've ever shown, and I go to these events and at least half the audience hit that, change view button and go straight into first person anyway. So yeah.
You like to fool yourself that you really make great third person games.
But really, everyone just switches that camera into first person. Yeah. So, but the first person bit, so the character and vehicle interaction is equally exciting.
Okay. So you said something interesting. Right? You're talking about the road, where you are right now, and where it's going to take you. Yeah. And earlier you talked about the fact that Burnout Paradise started in one place and ended in another. Yeah. I mean, Burnout Paradise, a fantastic game, by the way. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I've never met you in person to tell you how much fun I had driving around, especially when you put in the Ecto-1.
Oh yeah, the legendary cars. Yeah, they're amazing. Yeah.
But when you guys made Burnout Paradise, did you know where you were going?
No.
Or wow.
No. Well, that was a time when we thought that Burnout was a game that people who loved super hardcore competitive racing loved. We thought that was our audience. Yeah. And as we were making that game, that's the experience that we were making, and we were putting it in an open world and trying a whole bunch of different things, and it was tough. And then probably in the last 6 months, we began playing around with seamless joining and online play, and people not having any lobbies and no waiting around, and just this world, this online world sort of just appearing in front of you. And whilst we were playing with that, this sort of loose, unstructured Freeburn experience, called Freeburn, came about. And so this, we reference it as this is, it's for people who want to just dick around in the cars. So that just came together. And what we realized after we launched it, we had a ton of telemetry and data in Paradise, so we could actually see how people were playing the game. And that first weekend, I remember taking the drop of data, and it was just mind blowing because. Yeah. What we thought our audience wanted to do, they weren't doing. And so it was a dramatic shift for us in terms of learning how people were engaging with that video game. And then through the course of its life, we then used that information and what people were doing to actually tailor the things that we were making. And what we realized was we didn't know our audience at all. Well over 85% of people were doing the social connected online play as opposed to the hard structured competition play. So I think that our next game is definitely going to take both of them. Clearly, even though it's a lower proportion of people, there's an audience that loves structured competition, and we love that too. But there's also a side of people that just want to pick around in the vehicles, and so that's going to be a part of the experience as well.
Well, man, I can't wait to see it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Give me a hug because you made Burnout.
Ah, good work.
Oh, yeah. All right. You have a great time. Now stop talking.
Cheers.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching this episode of Up at Noon. Remember, Up at Noon posts every Monday. It's an interview, comedy, talk show, whatever Brian and I want to make it. If you want to be in the audience, like that one guy, but mainly or like Greg Atlas does in San Francisco, you go to go.ign.com/up-at-noon for details. I'll be back next week with the voice of Handsome Jack. But until then, I'm going back to bed.